don't think we need to do those. But
Same,
I like
it's like
it.
tradition.
Yeah.
Welcome to the third episode of the White Pew podcast. My name is Gabrielle de la Puente.
My name is Zarina Mohammed.
And we normally write about art, video games and food. But like within that, we have been academically interested in reality TV.
I think we are, quite frankly, big reality TV aficionados. And it's honestly the only thing that brings me joy to talk about in art world scenarios. Because everyone in the art world fucking loves reality TV. But there's like this little slimy, guilty kind of part of everyone that like refuses to talk about it. Or it feels like a fugitive subject when people do actually talk about it. Like you feel, oh, how naughty of me. And I don't know why that is. I know why that is.
Stuck up. Everyone thinks it's beneath them. Everyone thinks these like, you know, airheads on the telly are like not worthy of any critical analysis. But we don't, and we give it to them. And the thing is, I feel like my relationship with it is changing. And across the broad spectrum of the genre, there are these like icons who, depending on what they do and their behaviour and their relationship with social media, I think my relationship to it changes in turn. Like this is all chess or something. And last night, and the reason I thought today we should do a reality TV episode was because of Kimmy K.
The OG reality babe.
Yes. Had done this Twitter thread where she was like, haha, don't worry everyone, we were safe. We went and got COVID tests and like everyone isolated, and then for my 40th birthday I like whisked everyone off to an island and we had like a special fun time. And just the way that she made this Twitter thread of like images, literally it's like the end of October 2020, it's like a few weeks before the election in America. It's in the midst of like just so many people dying, so many people sick, so many people out of work in America. Most people just got like $1,200 to like survive, and that was months and months ago in the stimulus package. And it just like riled me up, and I don't know how people in America must feel to like see someone who's just like a princess of culture being like, quote, after 2 weeks of multiple health screens and asking everyone close to quarantine, I surprised my closest inner circle with a trip to a private island where we could pretend things were normal just for a brief moment in time. And it's
just very batshit.
It's batshit because like you could have done that without telling people.
Yeah.
You could have, if you really wanted like a good relationship with the public, which is not necessarily something they even need because they're always just going to make money off the fans that they have. Like, they could have done all this without publicising it, without like this special thread explaining it all. And it just pisses me off because naively, years ago, like 2017, I think, it was when I was going through CBT and like anxiety, and it was just like a year and a half of depression. And one thing I did within those months was watch all 13 seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, because it just somehow fit into like what I needed at the time, which was to lie horizontal and watch TV because nothing else was gonna entertain me in that moment. And there's something about like Keeping Up with the Kardashians' production approach and like the quality of it, and it all was like very still and very cool and clean. And they live in these like big white houses with like, you know, a white couch. Like, who the fuck has a white couch? They're just that rich and privileged. So it's like lovely to watch these people on a white couch who check their phones and just like, you're watching someone scroll Twitter or Instagram and pick pictures and post pictures and just all this bullshit that I really appreciated the Kardashians for like providing, which was strange, and it's something that I've thought about in terms of David Dobrik as well. If readers, like, if any listeners are familiar with David Dobrik, he's like a YouTuber in LA who has a very famous YouTube channel where he does like the craziest kind of like, you know, we went to Las Vegas and bet $20,000 on red, and like then they will give it to their maid or something. And for a while those videos I found equally as entertaining because of this kind of salve in richness. Like there's something really weirdly therapeutic about watching rich people do rich things.
Yeah.
Because they're just living on another level completely. And when you're not on that level, when you're not happy, when you're not a millionaire, it's like, it just feels so good for your eyes, I think. And this is all to say that I just don't feel it anymore. Like that kind of coolness, this really privileged coolness of like rich people doing rich things, I just can't enjoy it in the same way anymore. And I always joke that Michael, my fiance, the things that he hates, I will hate in a few years because he'll like bring me round to them. And he's hated all of this shit, and now I'm there, and now I'm like, oh,
it's rubbed off on you. Oh my god.
It's all, I'm totally, you know, the illusion is like broken.
Yeah.
And
why do you think that is though?
I think because it's something about like the transaction, and, you know, I've got no problem with like people making money off of their personalities. I think that is, you know, live your life. But then getting to a point where you can exploit the parasocial relationships for all of this money, and these people now have like, oh, she's got a beauty brand, she's got like a clothing brand, she's got this perfume, like it's every single thing is just raking in all this money, and then to lord it over people and be like, I fucking flew off to a private island for my 40th birthday,
Right.
It just pisses me off. It didn't used to, but now it does.
But I think this isn't like, this is coming from like a super subjective place. Like it makes sense within the scope of like your review and like where that came from within you. But I think this also speaks to a wider movement, because I have been feeling the same kind of disintegration with that particular kind of reality TV personality, which is very American.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't function in the same way in the UK, which I think is interesting. We'll get into that. But I think as like the past few years have gone on since you wrote that review, all of a sudden the walls that hold society together have just kind of crumbled as like conservative government after conservative government, and like in America, like Republican president, and you know, I don't know how the American political system works, but like it seems like things have been going mad over there as well. But like I think like it's just kind of kicked up a little bit of a notch, and everyone's kind of aware of it. Like there's a kind of public consensus on the fact that like things are not great. Like I think like society's been dissolving since 2016, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And like as life gets a little bit harder, bit by bit, day by day, month by month, like incrementally for like the wider normal population, rich people have been getting richer by doing more kind of visible things that like visibly make them money. Like we're very aware of the fact that there's like a certain number of billionaires, and like their names are like publicly attributable for the fact that they have money. I don't think that was like the case perhaps maybe like 10 years ago. Like I don't think there was like as much of I think people could be a bit more secretive about their money. Like they could make a choice to be reclusive, and now it's just like like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk as like public figures for having money and being batshit in the process. I mean, maybe it's a bit of like they've chosen that like reclusiveness isn't something they want to do. Maybe it's that. But I think Kim like 10 years ago, or maybe not 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, she could kind of do this thing that was like famous for being famous and like play on that. But I feel like she's aware that became played out. Like she could only ride it for so long, and Kylie started to overtake her by doing something that was more active or interventionist, or like she could be a bit more visible about the fact that she was like going out to make money. Like for years Kim called herself a businesswoman and people laughed, and like I don't think that was a joke then. I think she's just kind of thrown that to the front of her activity, if that makes sense. It's coming out in a more kind of visible, publicly attributable way. I think as those two things have happened, all of a sudden the reality TV portion of her fame has kind of become more untenable, because that's become a tenser relationship. The whole point of that like mystic magic of reality TV is in like it I think reality TV is best when it shows something just slightly outside the reach of your grasp, and as like the public have been hurtling towards like full-on destruction and like as Kim has been hurtling towards like very, very visible signs of like accumulated wealth, and like consciously accumulated wealth, with a billionaire husband who's got a ranch in Wyoming and like a family and like surrogates, that like these strange tense points that literally only come from being fabulously wealthy, those points are drifting apart, and like I don't think reality TV is a space for her anymore, which is why that's why they fucking cancelled Keeping Up with the Kardashians, isn't it? It's not a productive generative space for them anymore.
Definitely.
It's not mediated enough.
Ooh. And
what a fucking
it's
diatribe.
I also think like I totally agree. I think that is a much smarter way of analysing. Full disclosure to the listeners, I don't feel very well today and my brain is on the floor. But I think something has changed in me in terms of like just education and realising that being a billionaire is unethical. Being a very rich person is fucking unethical. If I had money, I would give it all away. Like, I just don't understand what these people are hoarding it for, and like it's like, yeah, I just in my head like LA is full of all these like really scared rich people who are like trying to stave off the revolution and plan for ways to navigate things like pandemics. Like I read this really interesting article a few weeks ago about kind of like a tech specialist who got really kind of elusive invitation to come and fly to this island to give a presentation to like what she were told were just, I don't think they said you're giving a presentation to rich people. They said these people want your expertise, and her expertise is in new technologies. So she just created like what she thought might be interesting to these people, and had a PowerPoint and was ready to talk about technological development. And when she got there, it was just herself and like 4 very, very rich people around a table who were just asking her questions of like, what do you think we need to invest in right now? And if there was this situation, what should we be doing to prepare for it? And one of the things that she mentioned happened on that visit was conversations around a pandemic. So, and her visit to this island was a few years ago. But they were saying to her, well, if there is a pandemic, so we build an underground bunker now, how much supplies do you think we need? And what do you think are like the social implications of how we guard this? Because if it's a special secured bunker that is all digital and, it's some kind of security software to keep it locked down, what if that gets hacked? So in that sense, should we have a person on the door? But then what if that person, needs to get into the bunker and they run away or something and leave them to it. What is the best way to go? Software or like someone on the door? And the conversation just became something she was totally not expecting. But it felt like her account of it was such an insight into the way these people are thinking, which I think is just built in fear, because they're like these dragons on piles of money and they don't want anyone to like come close.
Yeah. That, right? I think even millionaires, right? There's such a kind of... Because I completely agree with you. I think past a certain level of, like, comfort and, like, being able to, like... I think beyond stability, like, being able to afford, like, 2 coats, a nice place to live that's, like, comfortable and stable, and, like, maybe a kid or a dog. Like, there's, like, a certain level of wealth, maybe even before being a millionaire, definitely before being a millionaire, that like becomes a little bit like, oh, you've made a choice here, and I'm uncomfortable with that choice and what it implies. But like, yeah, even being a millionaire, it's just a way of thinking that I don't think politically, morally, religiously, ethically, which feels like all of those things combined, like logistically, I can't like get into that way of thinking. It's just very foreign. It's a completely different mindset to literally any single person I know. I don't understand it. I don't...
Mm-hmm.
Have we ever met a millionaire?
I don't think so, Zarina.
I don't think so.
Oh, wait. No.
Oh.
Remember when we went to Norway and we had the guy on the end of the table? Remember? What was he called?
Yeah.
What was his name?
With the, we are talking about the same guy, Oslo biennial guy. Yeah. He was weird. I don't think I like millionaires. Rich people, I don't like them. They're not nice.
So we went to Oslo to see a ton of different stuff over Oslo Art Weekend, and it was great. It was probably like the fanciest hotel we've ever been put up in. There was a literal Edvard Munch in the lobby. Like, not a reproduction, like an actual Munch painting. And the end of the week left us in this like very fancy kind of bistro restaurant with chandeliers and very nice
mahogany table,
waiting staff, and a 3-course meal. And for some fucking cosmic reason, me and Zarina were put on a table with like, I don't know if he was the head of Oslo Biennial or something to do with it, but some very, very fancy man, posh man, who had said to us, oh, I need to get up early in the morning because I'm going hunting.
Like, oh, it was, do you know, it was, I knew from the off that this was going to be a crazy dinner, because we walked in, but like on the drive there, we were in like an Addison Lee, or like the Norwegian equivalent of like an Addison Lee. And we were like, the reason we were next to this guy for dinner was because we were next to each other in the van, and like we kind of walked in at the same time and everyone had already sat down, so we kind of got lumped with him. But in the drive up there, he went, oh yeah, like I was like, oh, where are we going to eat? Like, I don't think my shoes, if it's nice, I'm not wearing the right shoes, they might not let me in, I'm wearing trainers. And he was like, no, you'll be fine, don't be silly. Like, it's just like a really nice student cafe, like student bistro kind of thing. It's very casual, like it's not, don't worry. I was like, oh, okay, cool, so I'll be alright, well, like walking with my trainers, cool. Like, I wasn't expecting anything too fancy. Walked in, there's a fuck off chandelier, red carpets, and people in fucking suits. I was like, I'm wearing 3-stripe tracksuit. Like, are you joking?
As you were speaking, I was just finding our Twitter thread about it. So I'll just read it from us, the source. Had a very surreal time visiting Oslo this week, but peak surrealism was when the executive director of Oslo Biennalen was sat across from us at dinner recounting his time in New York City in the 1980s when he, quote, lived in Brooklyn Heights. It was very black. And this, we said, following on in this thread, He was the absolute poshest person I've ever met, and he couldn't join us the next day because it was the beginning of hunting season. It was like he was telling us Brooklyn Heights was, quote, very black to make himself seem like less a rich dickhead. Not that that makes it any better, but we couldn't find any black artists on the Oslo Biennale program, so make of that what you will.
Literally, make of that. Like that. I think as we've kind of spent, like last year we spent a lot of time travelling, as we've seen these levels of the art world that are a bit more internationally rich, I think I'm very aware that Europe in general, Northern Europe, Western Europe, whatever you want to call it, has a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, the UK's like middle class, snobby, white, skinny curator class is small fry in a sense, like with their, you know, their small primary school, like countryside education, and like they're like, you know, they're like their petty concerns feel a little bit small fry in comparison to like some of the internationally rich people that populate like the global art world as it kind of stands. Like the UK might be on a mad one, but the global art world of like biennials and like film festivals and like that level of like, oh, I'm travelling to Rotterdam next week and like we're in Berlin in March. Oh, I'll see you in fucking God knows where.
It's very strange, and I think like this changing relationship with the culture produced around rich people like is why I tend to stay over on YouTube. But it's interesting what YouTube can do to people as well. Like, you know, they start kind of like very earnestly just making some videos of them and their family, and then they attract such a large following that they're able to create so much revenue from producing the YouTube videos themselves. Then they reinvest to make those videos even, you know, higher quality or whatever it is, and then suddenly they're moving into a very big house, and all of kind of the conversations they let us in on are underlined by money, and suddenly like you're unsubscribing. It's I've seen it happen so many times, and I just like can't quite I'm over it. I'm so over it.
I wonder if that's part of like a boom and bust cycle in cultural production though, and like the way that the cultural production in the sense that like culture is produced by individuals and like the things that they produce come out of their individual experience, and as their individual experience shifts away from like that of their audience, all of a sudden like it kind of drops off. It like it reaches like a point that it just kind of makes it inevitable that it's gonna bust.
Yeah. But I think like what I'm trying to get at also is that I don't think rich people have as interesting personalities as well.
Oh, so yeah.
They just don't.
Big time.
So it's really fairly weird and like scary to watch it happen to YouTubers quite quickly, where they're, you know, making all this great content. You can kind of see it, not that they weren't rich already, but at the beginning of the Kardashians, when they had fun and they really kind of played pranks on each other and like played fast and loose with how they looked. And as the episodes and seasons have gone on, they become these kind of like statue people who won't kind of raise their voice or like move too much because they don't want to look bad or break some kind of image that they've been investing in.
Yeah, that's, I think. But I think, is that less about them as people and more about the way, the visibility of the whole thing? Because, yeah, arguably they've got richer. They started rich, but they've got richer exponentially through their like reality TV careers. But the real thing that like affects all of it is attention, because like the family itself went from this peripheral thing around Kim, the true star, and like even even the intro at the big, like in the old series, it was like Kim, this fabulous like starlet enjeu,
pushing people out the way to get to the front of like the family photo.
Yes. In like that wine red burgundy, like Hervé Leger dress, like the wrap dress. Is it Hervé Leger?
I've never heard of that brand before.
It's like the wrap dress. Do you remember? Like they were like popping in the tenties at the beginning of the tenties, I think. Is that what they're calling it now?
I've also never heard anyone say the tenties.
The tenties.
The tenties. Jesus.
But like that, from that to like this, the current, I think it's the current intro where it's like kind of trying to buy into a very manufactured nostalgia of like, this is how we used to be. Oh my God, homie. Like, it's way more specifically engineered than, like, it's an engineered authenticity. The original one was like very performative. Like it was aware of its audience. It played up to it, and like the tropes that they all had, like Kendall and Kylie, the awkward, gawky teenagers, and like Chloe and what's her name, Courtney. The like, you know, like it played to those things, but it was arguably more authentic because it wasn't self-aware. And I think this new one, the new intro, where they've got like the home, what are they called? Home videos of them as kids. They're trying to like deliver some kind of something, whether it's like nostalgia or relatability or just like authenticity in like such a vague sense. I think that it's way more self-aware. And I think that's where it's disintegrated, where visibility has hit it and it's tried to come back with a self-aware attempt at authenticity or relatability.
It's just something about that though, like the purpose of that. Like they are, again, these statue people who have been very polished and, you know, they've all got weaves because they really want to appropriate from Black culture, and they kind of pull bits and pieces from what they want in order to create like this like mixed race icon who's very like ambiguous and it's very kind of charged in order to sell things or create like higher cultural capital and cultural value for themselves as bodies and people and names. And my question is, like, are those people better at selling things compared to people who are like us, who kind of lay it all out and are so transparent? Because people know that if we were selling something, we wouldn't be lying. What is that?
See, that's interesting because I think at the beginning it was a bit more transparent, right? Like they were a bit more open in the fact that they were selling something, and then it became manufactured. Like it became like a little bit more removed. That a strategy took place, I think, and maybe at the beginning it was a little bit less underhand or subtle or complex. It was a bit more straightforward. I think the fact that we are not billionaires proves that we are clearly not as good at selling things, because I think
we've never tried, to be fair. I don't think we've ever had any kind of like sponsorship offer or anything. But what is that like? That's what I'm trying to get at. What is that about like us as people and critics that means that we wouldn't be approached to sell things? Because we do have like 1 million followers. But it's kind of really funny to me that it isn't capitalized upon in that way. Not that we would, but just that the invitation isn't given to us. What is that?
I think, right, so this this line of questioning makes sense, but I think for our listeners, we should clarify. Obviously, we don't want to be we don't want to be approached. If you are a manufacturing tycoon, please do not approach us. This is not us begging for
we say that, but
industry.
We do like some things. Let's name them.
Yeah.
Who would you be sponsored by?
Glossier. I genuinely use the products. I really like their mascara. I really like their cloud paint. Not sponsored. I just use the shit, you know?
Just use it a lot, and it would be good to have it just given to you.
Well, not even given to me. I'd be willing to recommend it because I use it myself. I enjoy it. And I feel like that recommendation comes from like a place that already... It wouldn't be... I'd just be paying. I'd just be... Absolutely...
just undermining ourselves by giving people this free ad space right now on this podcast.
I'm going to edit this bit out. I'm going to bleep. Honestly, I'm going to put a bleep over every time I say Glossier.
So Glossier, I really feel jealous because I sometimes watch YouTubers like Charla in Japan, who is sponsored by a glasses company like eyewear. And she has so much of it that she's put up like a grid in her bedroom, and she just hangs all these different glasses off them that she wants to wear, and they're all her right prescription. And if I had millions of glasses to choose from, I think I'd be so happy. It would be so nice to just change, because glasses cost so much money, and you have the same ones for like 4 years because you just wait until your eyes deteriorate more in order to get the next pair. You don't think, oh, I want to mix it up a little bit. You wait until your eyes go.
It's that, and they're like so prominent on your face as well. They're so prominent. They're just there. I think they're the first thing people see, and it stays the same. You can't choose day to day. Yes,
glasses,
I agree
Glossier.
with you.
If we had Glossier on our faces and different glasses all the time, and then weekday on our bodies.
Weekday. I'm going to bleep all these out. No one's going to know what we're talking about.
You shouldn't bleep them. It's fine. we wear weekday more than any other brand because it's quite good quality. Everything I've had has lasted very well. And my new thing is... my New Year's resolution for 2020 was I wasn't going to buy any clothes, shoes or makeup, which has been very interesting. But
how are you going to be sponsored by Glossier and Weekday then?
Come 2021, I'll be able to like buy clothes again. But what I've learned over this little year of resolution is that I don't want to buy anything that doesn't last. Because over the past few months, I've been able to see my clothes deteriorating. Have you ever had a good sock?
Yeah.
Where from?
Sorry, I've really put a fucking stick in your point. I'm really sorry, but yeah, I actually have had a good sock, and this is disgusting. But I need to preface this by saying that I know I'm a bougie bitch. I love a fancy luxury item. I'm not a real communist because I like cashmere. And I bought some cashmere socks from Arket.
Oh, did you? Okay, so I've not got any good socks. All my socks have deteriorated over lockdown. My Converse kicked the bucket. I'm not being funny. Where did I even go? I didn't have shoes on this year. How have they got holes in? They like squeak when I walk. It doesn't make any sense. I was sat down in 2020. Didn't put shoes on. Oh, Converse, never buying them again. So my new thing is like, I'm only going to buy stuff that is good quality. And I actually did it. I asked people on Twitter the other day for like, you know, what have you got in your wardrobe that you trust is going to last you for years or already has? And the recommendations were absolutely incredible. I've made a list. You know what was like most recommended?
Doc Martens.
Marks and Spencer's.
Oh.
Marks and Spencer's. And I mentioned this to my sister because I think it's an interesting piece of data. And she said to me, well, look at the food. The food is very good quality.
Now that's a good point. And actually, do you know what? I actually really like their line of jumpers And not that I've bought an M&S cashmere jumper, my dad has and given it to me because he shrunk it in the wash. But it's so soft. It's been through the wash so many times, it's retained its shape. It's literal, it hasn't bobbled. It's cashmere.
See, this is important. I don't really know what cashmere is. I'm not going to lie. You've used it a lot now.
I don't know what cashmere is. All I know is that it's really, really warm. It keeps me so warm. And I am, as we know, the coldest person alive. Like, I have little to no ability to heat my own body and retain that heat. I'm a reptile. I need to sit in the sun at all times. Otherwise, I'll freeze to death.
Unless you wear cashmere.
Unless I wear cashmere. And it's really soft. And as we know, I'm incredibly sensitive to feeling and comfort levels. And cashmere, being so soft, keeps me comfortable, but feels fancy. So I feel like I can't just slouch about. So it puts me in that headspace where I'm like ready to work and do things.
So we get sponsored by Glossier,
M&S.
an eyewear company, Weekday, and M&S for the cashmere.
Or Arquette, because those socks are actually really nice. I've had them a long time and they're not. Mm-hmm. In fact, there's something about fancy socks that just makes it feel like you're treating yourself to like... It's just like a little treat for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? No one else is enjoying the socks. You're not impressing anyone, but you're impressing yourself.
If you raise the level of like your underwear, do you know what I mean? Then you're probably just going to be a happier person all around.
Yeah, because it's your little secret. You know, it's the kind of self-care that like is completely performative. Like it is completely capitalist, right? It's the self-care of like bath bombs, sheet masks, like at that level. But it's not performative for an audience because no one else knows that you're wearing M&S.
Cashmere socks.
Bleep. Hello, it's me. Just a quick interruption to say I know we've literally just been talking about how, we don't have sponsors, we'll never be sponsored. Oh my God, who'd sponsor us? We do actually have a sponsor for this episode of the podcast. Forgot about that. It's not a manufacturing tycoon. It is art world relevant. Our sponsors are Creative Debuts. Creative Debuts is a disrupting and democratising art platform focused on supporting artists and designers from underrepresented communities that may otherwise go under the radar. So, as well as being the funders for our Writers Grant, they also do the Black Artist Grant. Info for the Writers Grant is on our website, thewhitepube.co.uk/Writers Grant. But check out Creative Debuts for info about the Black Artist Grant too. You can find them on Instagram at Creative Debuts, or their website is www.creativedebuts.co.uk. And I guess stay tuned for next podcast episode where maybe I'll be talking about Glossier as well, or Weekday, or a glasses shop, Specsavers, who knows. The future is full of possibilities and there is time for us to sell out yet. So, enough of me going on. I'll shut up. Back to the podcast. Goodbye. Bleep.
Yeah.
How did we get here? We were talking about reality TV. What would you buy if you were rich? Let's just lean into the chaos.
Okay.
This isn't about anything. We're just having a chat now.
I would have a house. I'd like a house.
First 5 things you'd buy. House. What kind of house?
I want like a house with lots of floors. I want a basement as well.
Where would you buy this house? Where would it be?
I want to say Liverpool, but if I had the option, maybe somewhere mad like out, the Highlands. I'm getting this real draw to want to spend time in a forest.
Do you know, I've been saying this for years. I've been threatening to fuck off back to some, bush. The woods. I want to fuck off to the woods. Every time life gets difficult, I'm like, I'm moving to the woods. And you've always chuckled wryly and, kind of been like, oh, I feel like you've never been in cahoots with me on that one.
Because...
At last you join.
Because I think I thought I was a much more social person than I am. And this year has made me realise that I could do without physically spending time with people. So I'm convinced now. if I had like a 3-story house with a special muddy basement in a beautiful forest that kind of looked like it was in Lord of the Rings, and a good internet connection, and a nice bike, wouldn't that be gorgeous?
Yes. Yes. Oh my god. Are you joking?
A pizza oven in the back.
But you say, I think.
And a lassie dog.
Oh. Let's just dwell on that for a moment.
I want that autumnal kind of magic,
cozy,
beautiful, like woody, like I don't know what sandalwood is, but sandalwood, like, yeah, like, you know, have you ever seen a fairy tale?
No.
What was the film called?
Fairy tale.
But it was based on like an Arthur. I think Arthur Conan Doyle played. Well, not the real person, but someone in the story played him as a character. And the kids in it discover fairies out in the forest, and they make them all this, you know, like a beautiful little house and tiny little hats from the tops of acorns, and you know, sometimes they will turn the acorns upside down and have a little bowl and drink water from the little bowls.
Stop. Stop. 1 second, because I just need. Right. Time out. Are you aware of what cottagecore is? I think because you're describing these things like you don't know what cottagecore is, and I just need to like.
I have to make the connection. I think I'm a cottagecore person. Oh, great. I'm Taylor Swift.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You're the last person I think.
Same.
No, this makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense with who I am as a person.
Oh my god. Cottagecore is the real virus, and it's infected you, the last person on Earth left.
I've been listening to the Taylor Swift album so much. I didn't realise.
When did you start feeling positive feelings about cottagecore related things? Because is this because of the Taylor Swift album? Did Taylor Swift infect you?
Oh god.
Is that
I
why?
think it's because me and Michael went to Loch Lomond once. It was a beautiful experience. We went on a boat. Oh, Jesus. And I think there's something really nice. Something really nice about, like, when... I just did a little wee. I can't breathe. Oh god, it's take the glass off. Oh Jesus. I was gonna say, I think it's really nice when like moss grows on trees. I love squirrels. I called the one outside the window Giuseppe. He's got a little belly. Oh god.
This might kill me. But did you really call the squirrel outside your window? Because Giuseppe.
Yeah. I love him. Oh, Giuseppe.
God. We need to... This is a podcast for us to discuss serious things. We were going to have serious guests and talk about, God, highbrow culture. 3rd episode in, and we're talking about the pot-bellied squirrel outside your window.
Oh, I just have to post a picture of it to you. What would you buy?
I think I'd buy... I'd buy 2 houses. One of them would be a nice townhouse in North London or East London. I'm not sure which. Because I feel like I would enjoy living in East London, but I've never done it. And I've lived in North London my entire life. I think I'm a North London kind of bitch. So I'm not sure. But it would be like Zone 2. I'd be one of those Zone 2 dons. I can see that for myself. And I'd buy a house in the countryside. Maybe Cornwall. I like Cornwall. But it's quite far away.
But is that what you want it for?
Just being far away, yeah. And I think it wouldn't be like massive. I think a cottage, a literal cottage. A bit on the nose. But like, I'd have a cottage.
A writer's retreat. You just building yourself a writer's retreat.
Yeah. I think I enjoy the idea of the countryside, but I couldn't live there full time. I don't think I could live anywhere other than London permanently.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are moments when London becomes too much and I don't have the option to exit it at the moment. So I'd have a little cottage. I'd have a sausage dog as well.
Yeah.
I'd buy some new glasses.
Well, we'll be sponsored by them.
That's it.
What you calling your sausage dog?
I'm calling my sausage dog Mr. Patel and you know it.
I do know. I just wanted everyone else to.
I think that'd be such a cute name for a sausage dog specifically. Just, you're in the park. Mr. Patel!
Question. What flavour sausage dog are you getting?
Right.
Because I know I want a little, like a long-haired one that is kind of like blondie brown.
Right. Yes, I would like a long-haired splotchy one.
Mm-hmm.
A bit like long, not wire-haired, just long-haired splotchy. That's Mr. Patel. And he kind of, in my mind, Mr. Patel is like quite grumpy, but like... Did you hear that? My mum's just posted a letter under the door.
It's like your Harry Potter.
I know! I'm the boy under the stairs. But yeah, he's a blondie sausage dog. 2 houses and a dog. That's all I need, I think. Because...
You said 5 things though.
Yeah, I don't know what else I'd buy. I think
You're not getting
alright.
a car. How are you getting to your cottage?
I've got a car.
Oh, Zarina, you've not got a car.
I have got a car.
It doesn't count.
Why?
Because it's like this little yellow thing.
What's wrong with it? It works, doesn't it? It's got 4 wheels and a roof. That's a car.
The radio doesn't even work.
I've got an aux cord now.
That's better. But if you were, we're talking rich, would you not want to buy yourself a car?
No, it still works. Why would I buy a new car? It works.
You sound like your mum. You sound like my mum. You're rich. Get a car.
Do you know? No, because I like my car. I don't like driving other people.
Yeah.
I don't like driving in other people's cars. I don't like automatics. I literally only like driving my car. And I know that it's like basically broken. And it's manual as well. And like, so...
Serena's got the in-betweeners car.
I know. It's literally the in-betweeners car.
It's literally
bright yellow. It's from the 2000s. There's a tape section.
That's good.
It's like...
Do you not get big into like tape collection then?
No, because the tape doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Oh.
It's like a tape deck. You can put 6 tapes in at once. Like a CD tower.
You want to live with this? You want to live with this forever?
Yeah.
Back and forth. What are you going to listen to on the way to Cornwall?
Podcasts. You can queue it on Spotify. That's what I do when I'm on long drives.
Okay. So I'd get my cottagecore house. And I'd get a car, but I want like a big sturdy car. I also can't drive. I'd have to pay for driving lessons.
I'll count that as one.
Shall I just do a tangent and tell everyone my driving lesson story?
Please, because I haven't heard a driving lesson story from you.
You have.
I don't know.
You have.
No, I haven't.
So my mum and dad are both like full on drivers. Like my dad's a taxi driver and my mum is like a better driver than he is, and she drives so fast. Like, but in a really kind of safe, controlled way. She loves driving so much that we got her like skid lessons for her birthday once, where she went to a skid park, which sounds dodgy, and she just learned how to skid like really fast cars for an afternoon, and she loved it. Like, she still talks about it. And for that reason, I got driving lessons for my birthday when I was old enough, and I just didn't vibe with driving. Like, I hear some people say it, that, you know, you can get in the car and then you realise that you're in this machine that could just run anyone over at any time. And I've really felt that. I was young and I was like, oh my God. And so much happened on my driving lessons that just like nailed that in my head. Like, I was driving through Everton once, these like little windy roads, and there's a big like drop off hill to your right, and these kids ran out in front of the car and threw a fish on the dashboard.
Are you joking?
Not the dashboard. What's the front bit of the car? Like, it's chin. What's it called? Dashboard?
The bonnet.
The bonnet.
The bonnet.
It's
chin.
They threw a fish on the bonnet, and they liked it. So
did they see you coming, or did they have the fish in hand and it was just a spur of the moment?
Well,
was this premeditated?
I don't know how this went down, because it wasn't even a naked fish. It was like in like a Tesco fishmonger packet. So it looked like one big fish that a Tesco fishmonger had like put in a special thing. Like, it was really big. Anyway, fright of my life. Stuff like that would just happen over and over again on these lessons. And
right.
I started to feel like, oh, I don't like this. I could do it, but I didn't like it, and I just was constantly getting thrown off. And it was getting on a bit, so my mum was like, book a test. And the test lasted all of like 2 minutes. It was terminated for dangerous driving. And the woman who was giving me the test got out the car and walked back to the centre because she was still that close. Make of that what you will. I need driving lessons again. But maybe because I've had CBT, it would be fine. Like, I wouldn't be as anxious. Yeah. The reason it was terminated was because at the beginning of the test, it was quite easy. They wanted me to like reverse into a parallel parking space or something. I can't remember. Whatever that was, smashed it. Easy. And then I needed to like drive out of the test centre, but there was like a tiny, tiny little, like not even a road, like a tiny little driveway from the test centre onto the main road, and there were cars parked all along the left. So I was kind of like skirting the middle of the road. Like, I couldn't fit in the left-hand lane, but I needed to be there. And I was just like skirting it. And by the time we got, 10 seconds to the end of the road, the woman looked at me and she went, you've just been driving on the wrong side of the road. That's it. That was, my brain just shut down because I was like, what? So then she went, carry on. And I thought, fucking hell, I've already failed. That's it, I failed. So I turned right onto this main road. And at the end of that main road, double roundabout. So... Double roundabout. No. My brain is switched off. Yeah. I didn't even know what happened. I fucked it. So at the end of... After I got off it, I don't know. For all I know, I could have been going round and round and round like that scene in Rugrats in Paris. And I got off the roundabout and she went, pull over here. I'm terminating this test for dangerous driving. She sounds horrible. And she just didn't even say anything and she got out the car. And I sat there and I was like, oh. What did she do? Because my mum. How did she get back? My mum and the instructor, who's my mum's cousin, were waiting in the test centre for me, expecting me to be back in like an hour. And but you haven't passed your driving test. So she walked back. What did you do? Did you sit in the car or did you drive back? I sat in the car. I think I went and sat in the passenger seat. That's so sad. And then my instructor came. He walked and he drove us back. And then that was 2012. And now it's the future. Do you think it's been enough time for you to like... get over it? Yeah. Are you over that? That sounds I'm over it. Oh, okay. I'm over it. I didn't realise I had anxiety until much later, and now I can see how it kind of came through, and now I'll have a redemption arc. Do you know what? I was going to learn to drive this summer. I thought, I've got, I've got a job, I can afford some driving lessons, I'll do it now because I might as well. And then 2020.
Yeah.
So first it was the evil driving instructor.
What about
And now it's 2020.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna have to do my bloody what's it called? Do your theory again and all that shit.
Do you want to know something absolutely... This doesn't happen, but I did it.
What?
No one fails their theory test.
Did you fail?
I failed first time, my theory test, yeah. I don't know how.
Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. It's okay.
You've just told me about how you nearly murdered a driving test official. So I don't feel ashamed. I'm willing to come out now, make a declaration of my own. I would like to live in the truth and say that I failed my driving test, my theory test first time round, and I passed third time.
Third time?
Yeah, I'm clearly not meant to drive either, but I just had some kind of... I really felt like I had to. There was like an internal motivation of like, this isn't for me, but we're going to force it.
Yeah.
I'm a good driver now, it's fine. Like, it comes to you. It's a process.
I will then. One way I think we should maybe end today's episode is like just back to reality TV for a second, and maybe how we find better examples of that in YouTubers, some YouTubers, or some types of YouTube. I know that you've been watching or listening to like a jazz thing, and I just wanted to hear about it. What is it?
Now I sound weird.
No, you don't. Go on.
Right, so, you know, last episode we spoke about slow TV.
Mm-hmm.
I've really taken that to heart, and I think my YouTube algorithm heard me talk about that I enjoyed slow TV. I've been getting some really nice recommendations. So, other than the jazz thing, 3 hours of bookbinding came up on my recommendations.
But what is the jazz thing?
It's like an hour-long music thing. So it's just music with like a blood red, like a blood orange coloured background with like a nice vibey picture and a track list. And it's called Japanese Jazz When Driving on a Warm Night. And it is what it sounds like.
So nice.
Yeah. It's just like...
So lovely.
Just like imagine Japanese jazz when driving on a warm night. There's no driving taking place on the video part of it, but it's just...
Do you wish there was?
No.
Like, just someone on the roads?
No, because I think if I was watching it actually happen, I'd have a super fixed image of what it actually is. Whereas, because there's nothing actually taking place visually, it can kind of play out in my mind. And it's like way less fixed. I can it's more malleable. I can just kind of adapt it.
I was watching a good little 5-minute analysis video yesterday of someone's experience of playing Euro Truck Simulator, which is a game that sounds like exactly what it is. And
I'm obsessed with this game.
I've never played it though, but I'm interested in what you're kind of getting at, which is I think the same experience he's kind of unlocked from playing it, which is around the world's gone to shit, but and you see you storm out the house and you start driving, and at first you're like, oh, and then after a while you're just driving, and all that's in your head is just the fact that you're driving, and that's it, and you become a bit lighter, and people are getting that from the game, and I think that's really nice. And also more recently there was a flying simulator that people have started to play, and I just imagine it's kind of the same thing, and it's lovely. It feels strangely like a more comfortable type of reality TV to spend time with, even if it's in a game, even if it's a one-shot person driving through Japan listening to jazz on a warm evening, or whatever you just said. I'm preferring that type of thing, which, and last episode I spoke about one of the things that have saved me through lockdown, which is Rambalak's YouTube videos, and I've been digging through them recently to try and find one that I really like, and it's just this guy who carries a Steadicam on walks around Japan, and there are two that I really like now, and one of them is him walking through a cherry blossom festival where all the trees have been lit up, like with white lights, and it just looks gorgeous, and you can get the sense of like festivalness and people being, you know, out late with like a coat on, getting some hot food, and everyone taking pictures or taking pictures of their friends with the trees as a backdrop. And so there's that, and then there's a second video in a very, very snowy place where there's another festival, and you can't quite tell what it is. I think if I could overhear the Japanese being spoken and like understand what it was, I would have a better sense. But people are kind of like filing into a building, and you can't quite tell what is in the building because he never goes in, but he's just walking around, and he gets a little bit of food from a stall, and then he carries on, and you can just hear the sounds of his footsteps. And it is strangely the comfort I was describing at the beginning of the episode from like lying down watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but this feels harmless in a way that doesn't to me anymore.
But I wonder if that's because between that point when did you write that review?
I think it was 2017.
Right, between 2017, when watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians was like salve and balm to your eyes, and now, when reality is just disintegrated as we know it, like this year, completely, like normalcy has shifted to the other side of like a completely different spectrum. And so that shift, right, I feel like it's slowly been happening, like the needle has been shifting, like culture changes, normalcy changes, like the limits of what we think of as like everyday banality shifts every day, like it slowly moves, and like things get normalized and assimilated into what like the background of our imagination, etc. But the needle moved this year so sharply, and I wonder if that's why we can notice it, or like looking back on such a different period of like life and time, only then does it become like really noticeable. But I think with the YouTube one, I feel that obviously, like, I'm a normal person. Normal people don't watch 3 hours of bookbinding unless there's something weird going on. And like that guy wandering around real life, these feel like super stark examples of like life's a mad one at the moment, and we need that like
palate cleanser. Yeah.
And reality TV kind of doesn't really exist, because we were talking about this the other day. I've been watching Love Island USA, or I was watching it, it's kind of over and done with now, and it was Love Island but American. That was weird, first of all. And also Love Island American and shot in a pandemic. Like they'd all kind of like had to go into lockdown and like do 2 weeks quarantine to check they didn't have it and stuff. Like they had to do that anyway, right? But it didn't feel right, and I couldn't tell whether it was the Americanness of it or the pandemicness of it. I think it was the pandemicness of it, because the Americanness of it was kind of like, it made sense. They didn't do any of the whispering, you know? Yeah. It sounded weird when they said, let's go for a chat. I didn't like it, but like, that's not the reality TV I want to watch at the moment, I think. I want to watch these small moments of other people's lives because it matches the scale of my own.
That's very true. And on that note, I think I might watch some this afternoon. I'm going to watch this week's episode. I'll put some bookbinding on the telly.
Do you want me to send you the Japanese jazz when you're driving on a warm night?
I'd love to. I'm going to wrap up in some blankets because it's going to go well. Have a hot one. I never have one.
You're so fucking cottagecore.
I'm so cottagecore. Oh my god. Watch me. I'm going to start wearing cardigans. I can't wait. In 2021 when I can buy clothes again. Cardigans.
I don't see it happening. I really can't imagine you in a cardigan.
Get ready.
No.
I'm going to rebrand.
Oh my god.
I'm going to start posting loads of like flat lays of the clothes I'm wearing. And then we'll get sponsored. Thank you for listening. If you want to, God knows why, spend more time with us, we've already posted 2 more episodes of the White Pea podcast. And if you want to read anything we've written, everything is on thewhitepube.com, and there are audio versions and written versions, and more recently video versions on Instagram as well, and it's just at the White Pube. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you're okay. Is that a weird way to end it? I don't know. Jingle. Bye.
Bye.